Salutations, dear viewers. You're on the next Fast Nexus, and welcome to my second Chapter 2 Season 3 solo win as Deadpool! That's right, I went for the Takahata Deadpool. For the record, I felt like Deadpool was jinxing me for a while because I had an interesting squads win as Deadpool, but since then, Deadpool has usually been death. And yet this time, Deadpool actually pulled it off. Although, for the record, like, the final opponent that I ran into was a straight-up camper. Which is fine, because so am I, and that's probably why I won, because it just turned into camper v camper. And, I usually win those encounters, so we got another 3-kill match here. Nothing much to say at this point, because I'm still diving in. I went with the disco balls on the grounds that Deadpool was having his party in the yacht at the time they introduced him, so the disco balls, while not a Deadpool cosmetic, seemed appropriate, especially when you look at the Lagan Dragacorn, whatever the hell this pinata is. So again, this was a victorious match in solos that I went into with no aspiration of winning. I had, I don't know if it was 14k or 1.4k challenges to complete, but I need to land at a named location. I'm here at Craggy Cliffs. I think I got that right. I'm here at Craggy Cliffs, so I got that done. I needed to ride a loot shark, I think. I needed to fish, and I need to ride a whirlpool. So this location resolved several of them in one go, and I just happened to win on the match that I went for, because even when I drop in for challenges, I don't just like, oh, I got the challenge done, I'm gonna dip out and do something else. No, I run the match to see where it takes me, and good thing too, because 2 matches so far, I drop in to do something mundane, and I end up emerging with the... Would Chicken Dinner be an appropriate reference, or would that be more of the PUBG crowd? Would that be the enemy? Now, this is also filled with some of the most garbage builds I have ever done in my life. Like, the fact that I won is hilarious because the levels of stupid, like right there, I bungle a decoy throw. I just straight up go for throwing it out the window and drop it at my feet. It will not be the first time I seriously screw up during this match. Like, it had to be the luck of the Deadpool. It had to, because there's no way. There's no way. So, my first encounter, I would assume that these guys were maybe going for the ship. So yeah, I tried to fountain or waterfall here, and almost die from the fall. That's just the first. That's just the beginning. Now, I remember here, I thought they were fighting Marauders, to be honest, because I can't see who they're fighting. So I was just going to straight up third party them, because I can deal with Marauders at range, especially with a hunting rifle. But I noticed, I think after I peeked around the corner a bit, that, oh no, there is, like, legit another player there. So I'm going to wait till one of them kills the other to third party the whole mess, especially since I'm down 65 of my health. Look at all that hopping around, treating the ground like it's a friggin' trampoline. I know why it's done. I've done it myself on occasion, but people do it all the time. I hate it. And they stopped moving, and that was the end of that. First kill. Nothing particularly fancy. So, we're going to have several minutes of me doing stuff that makes no sense. Oh, another bit of idiocy here. Light the fire, stoke it, walk out of range to get loot. And I remember at this point that I had very little in the way of actual mats. So, we've had 2 hilariously dumb things happen already. Now, we can all see here in the replay that I have Craggy to myself now. I didn't know that at the time, of course, but I suspected, considering that anyone that was around probably would have been drawn to all that, gotten involved at some point. I don't know if at this point I actually tried the spaceship, but I'd already done it by now, so I think I tried it, but I couldn't do it. Here's a small point of complaint. Like, okay, so Deadpool has a pun on Marvel's cosmic awareness, or was it DC's cosmic awareness? I don't know. He has comic awareness, which is a double entendre in the sense that, first of all, it's done for laughs, so it's comical, and second of all, he's aware that he's inside of a comic. So there's so many levels to that throwaway line right there. Now, the thing is that cartoon characters from back in the day, and I don't know, probably still, can produce oversized hammers and other physical comedy tools out of seemingly thin air. And the term became mallet space, because they're usually mallets, and then eventually hammer space, and Deadpool has been stated that he can produce blades and weapons and other seemingly infinite weapons out of thin air, in the same sense as hammer space, so he's got a pair of what are effectively mallets as his harvesting tools, but at the same time, this character was introduced Chapter 2, Season 2, when the ability to pull your harvesting tool right out of your backpack was introduced. And you'll notice his backpack is a pair of swords. So I can understand the inside joke of having mallets be his harvesting tool. I mean, it's nonsensical, especially since he has swords. But at the same time, it would have been nice to actually have Deadpool's swords as a harvesting tool that could be pulled out of the backpack. I mean, at this point, because I am just, you know, fishing and all, what I'm really fishing for is commentary while I actually fish for fish. Now, these loot sharks have become a problem, because while I'm trying to get fish, they're trying to eat my fish and nibble my giblets. So yeah, the one time I'm actually looking for fish, and I get a load of guns. It's typical. I also don't have zone. So, there was another, like, 14k. Grabbing that loot shark. I'll end up actually using these loot sharks to get in zone without the characteristic noise of using a boat. Now there's 2 loot sharks. I doubt this mechanic will survive into the next season. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of the fact that they flooded the entire map in the first place, let alone the fact that when the water level sank, apart from a few points of interest, which were mostly just rehashes of what had already been done last season, there wasn't a whole lot that had changed. I mean, I wasn't present during Fortnite's early, you know, iterations, but I feel like, considering all the stuff I've seen just in creative that has been vaulted or eliminated or otherwise shifted somewhere else, there was a lot more fundamental change in the game back in the day than there is now. And yes, I am perhaps being critical of Fortnite and Epic. I've done it a lot, and I've had other Fortnite players complain about the fact, well, if you're so upset with it, why do you still play the game? Fortnite manages... Oh yeah, we're gonna have some glitchiness at this point. I actually had to edit this video because I had to roll the replay back to resolve entities not appearing. Because as you can see right now, I'm throwing a fishing rod and line, and yet I'm not actually carrying the fishing rod or line. So at this point I'm like, I need a ride. I'm going to get myself a loot shark. It's going to take me into the storm, but I've got a minute to get in zone and hopefully get a lead on the next storm. So I'm just gonna go for it. And this is a lot quieter than using a boat. Of course, you're also a lot more exposed. I didn't even know at the time that the shark had a boost. Besides, can you imagine a more appropriate sight of Deadpool riding a shark? I mean, it's a shame I didn't jump the shark. That would have been even more appropriate. So yeah, now I'm pulling stuff. I didn't realize that this glitch was being so invasive to the replay until a bit later. Because I'm pulling stuff out of the water, and you can't even see what I'm grabbing. So yes, this finished up in Frenzy, which, along with Salty Springs and the Authority, formerly the Agency, back when it was just Island, it was a pretty safe place to drop, even if it was center of the map, because there really wasn't anything there. And then the Agency popped up, and suddenly everybody who's confident in their building skills and their ability at this game, they all go there. And if you go there and you're not some hyper-competitive daily player, you pretty much just got your guts stomped out. And now it's the Authority, and it's still much of the same. There are even fewer boss locations, I think, this season than last season, which just makes the competition at those locations that much fiercer. So yes, this is the old I need mats, and it's funny that it's halfway through the match that I actually start gathering them. Most people are breaking toilets and kitchen sinks and cabinets to get mats in the early game. For me, it's usually not until I've gotten halfway through that I'm actually like, huh, I probably should get some mats. Now, 3 things fundamentally won this match for me, and I'm going to go over them as they pop up. Because I don't really trace my victory here to skill. In fact, I don't really trace any of my Fortnite victories towards skill unless I managed to clip a guy in the head with a sniper rifle while he was emoting on the second to last kill, which is, by the way, pretty dumb. Because you're talking about a small circle where if there is another guy left, he's probably just hiding in a corner or around a tree, peeping you out. And then if you decide to just drop an emote on the guy you just killed, even if for a fraction of a second, you're asking to get clipped in the head. You're literally just asking for it. So again, creeper mode, activate. I am trying to avoid being detected, even though in retrospect we have the benefit now of full radar, and there is no one here. Now, I just picked up something. I think it might have been the flare gun. I'm going to mention the flare gun as one of those items that fundamentally won me this match. You'll see why in the end. Oh no, there's the flare gun. But yes, this is one of the holy trinity that got me the dub for this one. So here's where I had to edit, because the guy starts shooting at me, and it didn't register in the original replay until I rolled back the clock a bit, so there'll be a little jump. Now, I don't know what this guy was doing. I mean, I didn't exactly give him a huge amount of reaction time, but he didn't box or anything. He just ran up, started shooting, bought. I don't know. I didn't bother checking his perspective. I usually only do that for the second or third place positions. So here, we're coming up to a point where the viewing audience of this replay is not going to have the benefit that I did, because one of the benefits of ceilings, or pyramids, is that if you open them up for editing, they become transparent, and you can basically peep through them without actually exposing yourself to any danger. Very helpful. Cheaty, perhaps, but very helpful. And it's only ceilings, really, that can be used that way, because they can occupy a vertical space, but yet the edit keys or cues are on the ground and don't obstruct your actual line of sight. You can't do that with stairs. Well, you could do that with stairs, technically. But you can't do it with walls or floors. So right now, I'm actually putting the fort in Fortnite. I'm trying to reinforce my position, minimize blind sight lines, and I'm going to be doing that a step further in a minute. Now, one of the items I remember grabbing, I'm not sure if I've already done it or not, but the second of that holy trinity of victory for me was a purple tactical shotgun. The tactical shotgun got a pretty substantial nerf early in the season, and I still generally go for that tac because the charged shotgun, even more so than the pump, demands precision, because with a truly glacial reload speed and a tiny, tiny magazine, not to mention the fact that you have to warm it up before you let her rip, your whole fate hinges on that one shot. If you don't make it in that one shot, you're dead. Now, the reason I went for brick here instead of wood, this is kind of in error, because I had expected the brick would blend with the wooden ceiling more on the grounds of color, but the roof is actually black. You can see the tiles outside, so this was not nearly as subtle as it was in my head. But I wanted the ability to get an outside view of the place without drawing too much attention, which is also why I edit these walls to just be angled walls to eliminate overhang outside of the roof. I didn't want anybody creeping up on me. So yeah, like right now, I'm fully aware of what's out there because I can see, but the replay does not capture the transparency when editing. So, 4 players left. There's a fight going on between, I believe it's kind of that dim brown arrow at the bottom of the map and the blue one. So I try to third-party that. Not the best idea, to be fair, but it didn't quite work for me anyway. Besides, I like having the final players be on edge, because the more nervous they are, the more mistakes they'll make, and that sloppiness helps to level the playing field as far as I'm concerned. So if I can give you stress or a nervous breakdown, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So, yep, we got one of them won that fight. And the victor, seen here, launches over. Now, I expected, considering I took that shot, that they'd be rushing me, but they go over here. I think it was for loot. And run into Blue Arrow there, who was a camper that literally just leaned in on them with a high-level SMG. But that SMG would also prove to be their undoing, and I'll get into that when we switch over to their perspective. Now, one thing I've learned in this kind of sneaky predator strategy is you want to hit that second-to-last player as soon as they're done fighting the third-to-last player. Don't give them a chance to breathe, because if they've taken any damage, if their weapons aren't reloaded, immediately after killing the other player is when they're at their most vulnerable. So I try getting out here to strike while the iron is hot. I suppose I could have shot around, because it's like a 10-tick out there right now, and try to get him nervous, maybe get him to stay in the storm a bit longer. So there's the flare doing some work. He gets Meowscles' impulse thing, so he's rabbiting around. Not Meowscles, god, I keep doing that. Kits. So yeah, so there's another big dumb thing there. I just dropped down like an idiot. There's the tac shotgun that shall save my bacon in a moment. So, the flares have three prominent uses. One, they light structures on fire, which will damage enemies, or indeed yourself, if you happen to be in them. Two, they deal explosive damage at their point of contact. And three, they reveal the player's location. So, you can't see it, but right now I know exactly where that guy is, and it fades out for a minute. So I hesitate for a second to fire another shot. And the moment he's illuminated, I just pounce on him. Now, right now, he's trying to shoot down my build. And there they go. I figured chimichangas would be appropriate, considering I A, got the chicken dinner, and B, they're probably fuming, fiery in rage right now, because that's usually what happens when you're runner-up in Fortnite. So here I switch perspectives, and let me cover the third aspect. I want you to pay close attention to my opposition here. First of all, they're camping. That's not a statement of accusation, that's just a statement of fact. Just like me, they're camping right now. They're just not camping as well. So here comes number 3. I don't know what they were going for. They were running towards the storm. So they end up in the storm, they're taking damage, they gotta get out, and they just get sprayed down. So a bunch of ammo added in there. So they heal up, and weirdest thing imaginable, they actually dip into that 10 tick again for more loot. And the problem is, all the loot is so jumbled together, picking out the item specifically that you want would be next to impossible, and you can actually see that hesitation right here. So they're nervous at this point. They eat the floppers and go straight for that impulse. Or shockwave, whatever it is. One thing you'll notice, and you may not have noticed it, after spraying the other player down with that submachine gun, they never reloaded. I don't know if they didn't have ammo or not. I think I saw some pistol ammo getting nabbed from that loot pile. But they never reloaded that sub gun. And remember my statement before, that when you're running a charged shotgun, fundamentally your fate hinges on whether or not you make that first shot. And this player clearly knew that, because when they botched that first shot, they went straight for the submachine gun. The only problem was, they'd hose down another player, leaving maybe 5 to 10, somewhere in that vicinity, of rounds in the magazine. And that's what they had to deal with for this final encounter, because they're going to whip out the charge, flub the shot, go SMG, and click empty right there. When I had about 10 health, one more hit would have done it. And nope. Well, anyway, that's it for this video. And as always, fare thee well.